Coach Harper did. Obviously, first of all, these three seniors, watching them go this week, it's like going to be like for you.
Well, I mean, we talked about it a little bit after the game the other day that, start with George and TJ. I mean, 1,500-point scorers and on the same team. They've had they've meant a lot to this program, and more importantly, I know when they leave, they'll do well, and that's what it's all about, is preparing these guys for after basketball and through life's ups and downs. How do you handle those? And I know they're guys that will compete and grind and never give in. So I think all three of those guys are going to have productive lives.
TJ and George, just how important have they been over these 4 years in terms of being constants, whether it's work ethic or production or any of that stuff? Through a lot of change over the last 4 years instead.
Yeah, I mean, go back to their freshman year and, just compete and got better. They've kind of been our 1-2 punch. Guys that, as a coach, you look for guys that you can count on every night, and it's kind of what they've been. You develop a trust in players. What can you expect in certain situations? And I don't think there's been many, if any, times where those two weren't on the floor late in the game if they weren't in foul trouble. And it's because you trust them that they'll make good decisions and they'll make plays, and most of the time they have.
Coach, you got Trinity Jackson that gets added, not here 40 years like TJ and George, but they just talked about how he brings energy and personality to this team, and what does he mean to the senior class? I
just think he's a guy that he's a big-time energy guy. When he's at his best, he's a lockdown defender. He's a competitor. It's the best way I could describe him. He'll fight you. He'll compete, and he's meant a lot over the last year and a half. He's been played a little bit at the point. It's not really his true position, but he gives us a lot in transition when he's at the point. But I think his biggest attribute is his energy and his ability to defend.
George and TJ both unanimously said he was loud, and I asked one characteristic of Trinity. Is that safe to say he's a talker of the team on and off the court?
Yeah, he's never at a loss for words, that's for sure. He usually has a smile on his face. If he doesn't, something's bothering him. But he's a good kid, and he's done well. And he had to fight through some adversity, and had to pay his own way for, I guess it was 2 semesters, but never complained. He just figured out, this is what I have to do. I'm going to be a college graduate, and he will be in May. So I'm proud of that more so than what he's done on the court.
You said that little things is what's really costing you guys right now. Margin of error so small. What are some of those details, I guess, that are making the difference right now?
Could be a lot of things. One step late on a rotation, closing out with hands down rather than hands up, reaching on a play to create a foul when it was first of all, we don't. That's one of the things we talk about every day. Quit reaching. And I've watched it over the last few games. We bail guys out by reaching and fouling when it was unnecessary. The defender had done a great job. They were going to, or at least 2 occasions where Ben was getting ready to block shots if we had just been disciplined. But we've reverted back to some old habits, some bad habits, and it's costing us, because if you look at 1 possession, 2 possession games, those are big plays. It's not necessarily the plays at the end of the game. It's the games in the middle and the beginning that create that problem, and that's what we have to get corrected in the next 2 weeks.
You have confidence that they'll do that?
Absolutely. I mean, again, if we were getting beat 30 and playing terrible, it'd be the alarm bells would be going off. It's not. It's we're so close, but at the same time, it doesn't do you any good to be close. You have to get over the hump. You have to win games, and I know we can do that, and I've got full confidence that we will. And if you ask me right now who we're going to start Thursday night, I couldn't tell you. I could tell you probably after tomorrow's practice, but there's no way, shape, or form that we have a starting lineup going in Thursday night. And it's not the time of year you want to make changes. In my career, usually this time of year you're set on a starting lineup and you're going forward. But that's not going to be the case this week. I fully expect there will be some changes, and what they will be, they will determine the next 48 hours.
Have you told the guys that?
They know that they need to be prepared at 1:30 to compete, and they know that if they don't know that they don't have a starting lineup, they'll figure it out as changes are made during the course of practice.
How many times over the course of your career have you been in this situation this late, tinkering with that line?
I don't think ever. And again, like I said, I don't think it's something that I would prefer to do, but I think it might be necessary. And we need to look at a couple of things that that I think might help us. I know it will help us on the offensive end. Will it help us on the defensive end? That's yet to be seen. I think it can help us there as well. But we're going to look at a couple of different options. Doesn't mean, and again, guys get caught up in starting. It's not about who starts a game, it's about who finishes the game. And that's what we need, some finishers. We need some guys that can finish the game as well. But at the same time, we're going to try to jumpstart the lineup a little bit, shake some things up, I think, and maybe see what happens.
What do you see the situation where you all are looking at having to win the conference tournament to get an NCAA bid? What's the advantage of the team, some of these guys? This is kind of not unfamiliar territory for them.
It's funny you asked that. I mean, Coach Boyd and I had this conversation this morning. It's all they've ever known. They've never been able to play out front and what it's like to be the top dog. They just haven't. And maybe in high school they did, but since they've been here, they haven't. But the one thing, I've been around them long enough that they won't give in. They will compete, and that hasn't been the problem over the course of the last 4 games. It's some of the things we talked about earlier, but effort and that type of thing hasn't been an issue. Had that been an issue, we would have made changes long before now. But we'll see. I don't think. I think the biggest thing right now is to get better each day. And I thought we were really making some progress, and that's what we were doing, and that's what we did during that one span where we won 9 of 10 or 10 of 11, whatever it was. But then we kind of took a step back. And if you look at this team, when they're winning and playing well, they're a little bit different, and that's what has to change. Just because you get knocked down, you got to get back up, and you got to get back up immediately. And I think they're back up today. I think we needed to get back at home. I think that will help. And just the thing I told them is, you should not question yourselves, but you should question some of your defensive intensity at times, and take a look at where some of the problems are happening, and they're all correctable errors. And after the Marshall game, for instance, I thought we really got some things corrected, especially on the defensive end. Offensively, in that one stretch in the second half, when you look at the tape, we just took too many bad shots consecutively, and you just can't do it. We got to put it all together.
You say this is the time of year you want to experiment with changing lineups, but is it exciting at all to see, all right, let's see what guys really want to step up and who wants this?
It's exciting for me to walk in there in a minute, because we're getting ready to get after it. And I'm probably the worst loser ever. I've not ever been a part of teams that lost. But at the same time, during the course of my career, I'm not saying I accept losing, but the only way I know how to correct it is get back to work. And, you know, unfortunately in sports, there's only two teams. One's going to win, somebody's going to leave there happy, some unhappy. I mean, that's just the nature of the business. It's the guys that can get right back up that get it flipped. And I thought we really, really had done that. And I know we can do it again. And I'm anxious and excited to get back in there with these guys because I think they're ready to go. I think, you know, we had a heart-to-heart on Sunday, and we'll see where that went.
If all these guys have ever known is fighting from behind, and can you change that in 2 weeks heading into Birmingham?
No, because we are fighting from behind now, so it's a good thing. They like the underdog role, I think, and they're the underdog, so let's roll. Let's see what happens. All right.
Okay.
All right, guys.